broadcasting alive from the Green Room Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the At Home Show with Josh Carey and David Bates, celebrating 25 years of home and garden wisdom. Without further ado, your hosts, Josh Carey and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. You know what time it is. It's time for the At Home Show. It's a Saturday morning tradition. It comes to you alive here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Good morning, everybody. I'm Josh. Hello, how are you, and who are you?
Well, I know who I am. I'm David Bates.
Yes, you are.
You're Josh Carey.
Yes, I am.
Who am I?
Tyler Blankenship across the way there.
Oh, that's
Good
right.
morning,
Oh, yeah.
Tyler.
Who are you?
Morning.
And before we go all the way around the studio, why don't we first take a little check of the weather? And we have had a nice run. However, we're going to see a slight change in the conditions coming up, and it's called temperature. Today is Saturday, and it's going to be a really nice, mostly sunny day, 89 degrees. So, I mean, who could complain about that? However, by tomorrow, things will change a bit. 96 and continuing to be sunny tomorrow, as will the case be on Monday. And then it warms up a bit more Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 98, 100 on Wednesday, 101 Thursday, back down to a cool 99 on Friday. And hopefully by this time next week, we will be into the lower 90s, kind of resuming a more normal schedule temperature-wise. People in the Midwest are really going to have a tough week. We're looking at, near and at 100-degree temperatures. Many locations are looking at 115 plus degree temperatures. So to have 117 degree temperatures, say in Kansas City, is really extreme. So hopefully people are weather aware, as are the people out on the West Coast. California expecting severe flooding conditions due to what I think it's still Hurricane Hilda. I think at this point it will be downgraded
Hurricane
to
Hillary,
not Hilda. Yeah, Hillary. It will be downgraded to a tropical storm, but it will still be packing a tremendous wallop with respect to the amount of precipitation. Some areas are expecting 6 to 10 inches of rainfall, and these are areas that many of them are desert areas that are not accustomed to having that level of rainfall, let alone in the middle of summer. So a very strange set of conditions. But we have had a drier week. We haven't had any rain. We had at the very beginning of the week, we had 6,800s. Early on in the week, we're up 426 for the month, just shy of 40 inches for the year. So our average annual rainfall has been met. So everything we get from this point going forward will be additional, but it's a really lovely 65 degrees here in the Music City.
glorious.
Yes, and speaking of glorious, let's welcome in our other participants of our program here, the highly capable and knowledgeable end of the staff and the studio.
So you're saying
Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen, welcome, guys. Good to see you this morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Yes, always happy to be here.
It was almost chilly on my ride in this morning.
When you get to be my age, you're just glad to be anywhere.
I'm always
glad
happy to be
as
where I
well.
am. Yeah, nice cool weather today.
Yep.
Lovely. We're going to enjoy it. And we got a lot of stuff going on in and around town and at Bates Nursery. So we'll hopefully get to see a lot of folks come out today and enjoy this nice stretch. And then we got the hot weather for next week to deal with.
Yeah, got some guy in a pink jersey and shorts going to be running around over there by the fairgrounds.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Big deal.
I was looking at my wardrobe this morning. I have a pink shirt. I thought there'll be a day when I want to wear it.
That's for the other team, though, David.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's for the Miami Football Club. And some messy guy, some messy guy.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
What?
A customer of ours, actually, Dwight Beard Property Management, their team out there, they had to cut the soccer field and spray it with something. I don't know what it was, but they had to do some work out there for Messi that was coming in town, and he was excited to see him.
He makes like $130 million a year.
Well,
yeah,
Nice.
it's good work if you can get it.
Well, you don't. The good thing about that is when you make that kind of money, if you manage it at all, you don't have to work that many years.
Yeah.
So,
He makes more.
Any kind of a professional athlete's work life, as far as their career goes, is rather limited. So, there's that.
There it is. And you know what is also in this room?
What's in the room?
A lot of questions.
Yes.
Y'all, are we ready for them?
Okay.
I would
We
say
are
so.
ready.
I think we're ready.
Let's go.
New to the state. Welcome to Tennessee. What
Welcome.
a great place to be. And I have 2 questions. First question, how do I grow grass in the lovely Tennessee clay? And secondly, how do I dig a hole?
Where are they from?
It
Did they
does not say.
Oh, okay.
Well,
But they live here
Okay.
now. So what do you do with that clay soil?
to be quite honest with you, you don't have to do much for grass to grow. Okay. Now, whether it's the grass you want or not is different. So the turf grass here that we can grow, typically Bermuda, fescue, that old Kentucky 31.
K31, baby. Yeah.
Gotta have it. But it's really not all that hard to grow grass here. Grass really kind of grows without you having to do anything. But also other broadleaf weeds grow as well. So like, say my lawn, for instance, is probably like 40% clover, 20% crabgrass, 20% fescue, 20% Bermuda. And I hope that added up to 100.
You know,
But
I don't think anyone was counting, so keep
Okay,
talking.
good,
Let
good.
everyone forget just in case you were wrong.
if you want a perfectly manicured green lawn that's all the same type of grass, then there's certainly work you have to do to deal with that. You got to weed and feed pretty much every single spring and fall to get those broadleaf weeds out of there. Like I was saying, like the clover and the crabgrass, all that stuff.
Creeping Charlie.
Creeping Charlie, really wild violets. I mean,
Yes.
there's all sorts of weeds that get in our lawns. Now,
But some of them are kind of pretty.
Yes,
They are.
I like mine.
And
like
really-
my weedy lawn.
to be honest with you, 98% of us have weedy lawns, okay? But after you cut them, they look just like grass. So that's, it's up to you if you want to. You have to spend a lot of money to maintain a really nice lawn.
I personally believe that the days of people obsessing, where a great many people obsess about having a monoculture type of turf grass where they have only one kind of grass, they have no weeds at all. From an environmental standpoint, the amount of chemicals that is required to keep it looking that way just isn't worth it for most people. And we stopped trying to do that probably a decade ago because and you're right, if you just keep it fertilized and mowed, whatever happens to be there tends to look pretty good.
Yeah, it just looks green. It's a green lawn. That's Middle Tennessee for you.
Generally speaking, and again, we don't know the light conditions. We don't know how many trees. We don't know really a lot about this. Bermuda is probably going to be the way to go. If you really want it to be, it sounds like these people are probably going to be from California. I'm going to go out on a limb. And you're going to you're going to see a lot of that kind of a growth here. You can't get St. Augustine to grow here, David. No. So
well, this time of year it's no
but,
problem. But if you're trying to grow it over the winter or keep it alive from year to year, traditionally it will not. However,
it turns brown.
I do know a place in Old Hickory where there, at least up until a few years ago, there was a living yard of it. So
wow.
So don't know if it's still, I need to go over there and look at some point.
But you're right, Austin. I mean, the amount of, you have to have good equipment or a good service that's going to take care of you. And if you do Bermuda and you like to have landscaping around, you're going to have Bermuda in your landscaping. I still use some chemicals, but not nearly what we once did, you know. And even the fertilizers that we use are basically organically based as much more so than the chemical stuff that, the stuff that used to go out there.
Yeah, which is a good way to go.
Yep, and just mowing it, and mowing your grass higher. Not you don't mow your grass high, do you, David?
Well,
would
if
never.
You can.
What kind of grass you have, you should. If you're gonna grow a cool season grass, you should never mow it anything other than high. If you've got a warm season grass, such as
Operating
the-
power equipment while you're high is not a good idea, David.
I'm talking about the actual height
Height of the grass.
Oh.
So it's
the
kind of like
adjustment of the wheels on the mower. If you
And
push
the
the,
deck
wheels
and-
down, the deck
Austin loves
raises
to mow. I
up.
feel like you could have a whole show on mowing.
I've spent a lot of time mowing in my life.
I think there's
a
gonna
lot
be-
of time mowing.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a portion of our yard that I think we're going to dedicate to clover, though, Austin.
Okay.
I mean, we've got a little area there where the puppies used to live that don't live anymore, but that's okay.
Well, hey.
But I think it's going to be great.
Bring in them bees. The bees love the clover. You got a
They
vegetable
do.
garden, you got a little patch of clover, you're going to see it's just there's a hum inside that clover when it's in bloom. The bees just love it. So
I love it.
I mean, certainly, yeah, good
The
way
bees
to go.
and Tyler love it. Yes. I let my lawn go wild. It is
Right.
crazy at my house. But let's get to the second
Sure.
part of this question, shall we? So they're asking the best way to dig a hole.
Best way to
How
dig
do
a
you
hole.
do it?
Use a shovel.
I've dug a
Use a
lot of
shovel.
holes. Yep. You got to get a shovel. You got to do
You
some
do.
work.
That's where you start. Can't do it with your hands if you're going to dig a big one.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's just work. At the end of the day, it's just work.
Now, a lot
And
of
if you're
times,
going to
go ahead.
dig quite a few holes, it really pays to invest in a better shovel. Don't just buy one of the
Absolutely.
LT
Yes, it does.
That's a
Pros.
great point.
They are, they're really not much more than just a placekeeper until you break it, and then you buy a good one. So you might as well go ahead and buy a decent shovel on the front end
And take
That way
care
you
of
can
it.
sharpen it,
Clean.
and remember, a shovel is not a pry bar. And this is
Nope.
a mistake that is most commonly made with people. They break the handles out of them and then they throw them away. If you have a pickaxe, grubbing hoe, mattox, whatever you want to call it, something to get rocks and roots and that kind of thing dealt with, don't use the shovel to pry it out. I mean,
pound.
people really tend to over leverage the ability of the shovel handle.
Now, and
literally.
I also pre-water a little bit.
Okay.
I moisten
You
the
rub
ground.
That is, I
Yeah.
do that as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Or I will try to do it after we get a fairly significant
Yep.
amount of rain. So this year has actually been really easy to plant. I've been planting all the time. I've been digging so many holes, y'all. It's been crazy.
Well, I noticed that someone made a rather substantial purchase yesterday, but it looked like those were mostly indoor plants. So I don't know if those were for you or for someone else, but I saw there was quite a lot. Maybe I imagined that.
We did have some big sales. We had a big houseplant sale the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong day.
Yeah,
they all run
houseplants have
together.
been flying out. It's a good time to spend, time with your houseplants or time shopping in greenhouses with houseplants, especially as it gets really hot next week. We have a lot of air in our greenhouse. It's nice and cool. But let's stay on the lawn topic for
Okay.
just a moment. Now, this is something that I love to see in my lawn. I think they're really cute. It's a nice color, but we do have a question about wild strawberries. I have wild strawberries in my lawn. Should I spray with Roundup now to try to kill them before overseeding this fall?
I mean, if you want to,
Spot spray and have spots in your grass, you will do that.
you will have that. Yeah. I mean, if you can hand pull them, that'll just go ahead and get rid of them. I mean, without having to use chemicals. But if you want to do that and that's the route you choose to go, then yeah, I mean, now's the time to do it. Get it ready to go, because if you want to, overseed, we got to have that patch clear. The thing is, whenever you spray Roundup, and this is my thing, is like, I will spray Roundup sometimes if I have to, if my weeds have gotten out of control, especially those cool season weeds in the early part of the game. But when you spray Roundup, they turn brown, but they stay there. They don't
Yep.
just go away. So you still almost have to pull them out. Now, they're easier to pull, don't get me wrong. Whenever they're dead, you can just kind of take them right out, without having to pull any roots or anything. But if you're going to have to pull them anyway, then why not just pull them when they're green? Like I said, it's a little bit harder, but you don't have to use the Roundup. You don't have to spray and be careful. You need to be careful when you're spraying Roundup. That stuff can kill a lot of things.
I'm terrified of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to use. The reason I said early in the spring I use it is because those cool season weeds really fill my bed kind of early in the spring. And this is before I've really got all my stuff swelling up and getting big and turning green, and me planting annuals in the bed to kind of fill it up. Like at this stage in the game, I can't barely spray Roundup because my bed is so full that I don't want to get Roundup anywhere near my plants that are in the bed. So, just be careful with it. Just be
and
responsible.
the other side of it is I contend there's more money wasted on grass seed and they properly or improperly putting the seed down in that no one would take tomato seeds, for instance, and just broadcast them on the hard ground and expect tomato plants to come up.
Really?
But they deal with grass seed all the time, thinking that the results are going to somehow be different. You need to do some level of cultivation or aeration. And if you're going to reestablish an entire lawn area and you're going to till it off, then you're going to remove all that vegetative top anyway. They're not going to be a problem. The strawberries this fall, they're not going to come back substantially enough. So, at least aerate really thoroughly to the point where the ground looks like it has been just destroyed.
Yep.
That's the way it should look. And then broadcast your seed. And then if you drag a pallet or take the rake with the teeth turned up and break those little pores of earth that have pulled out with the aerator all around, then you'll get a nice job and you'll have a reasonable chance of success. If you just put the seed down on hard ground, you're going to mostly get seed that'll sprout. And if it does sprout, it's going to die at the first time it gets dry. So there's no opportunity for the soil for the roots to make contact with the soil and get established.
And there's a lot of, there are a lot of places that you can turn to. Our friends at Dickens can put you on if you're really serious about it, they can put you on a plan where you can get a soil test. You can rent the equipment there. If you do choose to use some chemicals, you can get them there. They're the ones that I use for, or as organic a fertilizer as you can get.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can throw a rock, or I used to say you can throw a rock and hit a Dickens store in Middle Tennessee. So, I mean, they're everywhere.
Must be a lot of them.
There's
all over the place.
I think there are 8 locations in Middle Tennessee and up into Knoxville. And did they ever open I haven't talked to Drew in a couple of months, so find out if that Cookville store got opened up. But they're around. Good
so
friends.
while we're on the lawn topic, I do want to say, a couple of years ago, our mower broke, and we have a lot of acres, so we were using a push mower, and we decided not to mow everything, and we just let a pretty big area of our yard grow up. And watching all of these, I don't know what kind of birds they were really tiny and adorable, and all the pollinators come in, and just the things that came up that I didn't realize were growing in our lawn once you gave it time to grow up were pretty magical. So lawns can be fun.
You know what? You just reminded me of something.
Nice.
You know what's amazing is those little gold finches.
I have them all over my garden right now where I've let it go crazy.
They can be on a weed of a stem that's like as tiny as you could imagine. I mean, you could flick it and it would break or something, but a little finch can sit on it.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's like the lightest.
They're dainty little birds.
They're dainty.
Wait until you get the indigo buntings. They're the little ones that look like little jewels across the grass.
They are spectacular.
You can observe them at Peeler Park in Nashville.
Yep.
I've seen them there.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
That's
usually
amazing
come.
to me.
Yep.
Birds are cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about peach trees. I know Tyler has one that we have done some videos on. He knows all about. Did. Is it gone?
She's gone.
Oh, wow. Well,
It's with
Tyler,
Austin's Boxwoods.
Here we go.
R.I.P.
Actually, at least my
There
tree's
it is.
gone.
Shut up, Tyler.
All right,
I'm not
y'all
ready to
are
get rid
fighting.
of 'em yet.
I'm sitting in the middle of this. I'm going to ask the question. Y'all are fighting over my head. Is there a variety of peach tree that doesn't require spraying for bugs that can grow in Middle Tennessee? Did you get rid of yours because you had to spray a lot of stuff?
No, it was messy when the fruit basically
Fell off.
yeah,
Hit the ground.
But it was like immature fruit, so you would get a lot of like small, tiny pits.
Oh, those little bitty
all
pits.
over. And so it was messy in that way. Okay, so I have like a smaller backyard, and this tree got this is a dwarf tree, and some people don't know that dwarf trees get huge still.
Dwarf is relative.
12 feet tall,
Yes, it is.
12 by 12 or 15 by 15. I mean,
So it was actually a troll. It wasn't a dwarf.
you have to constantly really prune it back if you truly want it to be smaller. And and I had issues every year. I feel like no matter what peach you'll plant, you will get these worms in your peaches if you don't spray.
Oh, 100%.
And you will get fungal issues on the outside. largely affecting the appearance of it, but the quality of the fruit is still excellent. You just have to be willing to live with those issues or spray like crazy. And I chose to live with it. I got 2 years of really, really good peaches from it. So
or take a bite out of a worm every now and then.
I just recommend you cut your peaches first. If you want to be an organic peach grower, cut those peaches before you eat them, because David's right. You might bite into a worm.
Yeah, because you know what the worst than finding a worm in your peach, Austin?
What?
Finding half a worm in your peach.
That's a great point.
Hey,
That's
if you
yuck.
want to grow peaches or anything else for that matter to the very best of your ability, it's a great idea to start off with Earth Mix garden products. And no matter which product you choose, you're going to be assured of getting a 100% organic product that is produced with the idea in mind that it's going to be the most viable and productive compost, soil amendment, or soil blends that are available anywhere. You know, after all, the reason any of us grow plants is to have success and see them thrive and do well. It's not just to keep them alive at the bare minimum. Earth Mix garden products have been produced with that in mind, to try to get the maximum results with minimum effort out of your efforts in the garden. So no matter what you choose, whether it's if you're adding to plants now, say using Earth Mix Supernatural, that it's not sold as a fertilizer, but your plants don't know that. See, it is enriched with the best organic materials. It also has endo and ectomycorrhiza fungi along with humic acid added to it. So it gives your plants the ability to grow their very best, extract the maximum amount of nutrients in the soil that they're already in, and also give additional nutrition. So check that out. There's a whole line of Earth Mix products. One or more will suit your needs and do a really great job for you. And best of all, Earth Mix available all over the Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, Southern Ohio, Northern realms of Alabama. And you see on the map here, there are pins all over. You can either zoom in to a location near you, or you can just put in your address for turn-by-turn directions, and it'll take you to the location nearest you. Just remember this: success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products, and we appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that and help you have success in your gardening efforts. So there you go, Josh.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff. Earth Mix.
There you go, Josh.
Plants, sunshine, water. That's all you need.
One of the best containers that I have right now has been amended. Well, the bottom has been added with Earth Mix fines, lined along the bottom, so that's finely shredded pine bark mulch. And then I mixed in a little bit of landscape as well for my lime tree. It's great.
Ooh, how's your lime tree doing? I know you had aphids on it. Was that it?
Spider mites.
Spider mite.
Cut it back. It reflushed. It's doing great. It is. I feel like that pot up specifically this year has done the best as far as moisture. I've not gotten any leaf wilting or anything like that. So I think it's a really good combination of like the right size pot for the root ball right now and the media that I put in it.
Nice.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Chops.
Awesome.
Let's get back to questions. What
Let's do it. We got a really fun question that I'm going to ask everybody, but I think it's aimed primarily towards Austin over here next to me.
Okay.
So,
One of his groupies again?
possibly.
Yeah.
Switchgrass is money, but there are so many varieties. Which is the most money for your money?
Okay, so this is a good question, actually, for your money. First off, don't ever buy anything bigger than a 1 gallon grass. Okay, y'all? Now, I'm going to tell you why. Grasses, no matter if they're in a 5 gallon or if they're in a 1 gallon, they're going to get to the same size, height-wise, every year from the ground up. All grasses grow from the roots and push new growth every single year from the ground. So they're going to get up and they're going to get just as tall. 1 gallon will get just as tall as a 5 gallon. Whenever I planted my grasses, I planted them in a 1 gallon pot and they weren't even showing any grass. I mean, like they were dormant. They didn't even have anything in the pot. So I just planted a pot of dirt pretty much is what it looked like. And then, a couple weeks later, whenever spring happened, they started to grow. And like I said, they got to just the same size as a 5 gallon. So don't spend a lot of money on grasses. That's the first thing. buy them small. And then the second thing is which varieties. There's a lot of good varieties out there, okay? I'm into Northwind. We've all talked about this. The fall color is fantastic on Northwind. It stays very, very green. But there are other varieties that are different. Like they get a little bit purple. They get a little bit red. Some of those varieties are really cool, too. There's one, if you want a really tall one, it's called Totem Pole. It's the tallest switchgrass on the market.
I planted that this year.
It's fantastic. It's got a bluish color to the leaves.
Wow.
Bluish. How cool
I
is
believe we had
that?
those in studio a week or two ago.
Absolutely,
We
we
did.
did. We had them in the corners 2 weeks ago.
And they get literally like 6 feet tall.
Ben
Wow.
Crest, one of our landscape specialists here at the nursery, is a big fan of that one.
It's a good one. It really is a good one. Really tall and beautiful. So really going with any of the switchgrasses. They're all native around here. They can take water. If you need some erosion control using the switchgrass, all of them are money.
They're
I
gorgeous.
love muley grass.
Do you?
Do
Yes.
you?
Does muley grass
I
love
fell
you?
in love with it last year, so
I
one
fell
thing
out
about
of love
muley-
with it when I planted it.
Yeah, the one thing about muley grass is in order to have anything that looks like anything is you got to plant a bunch of
of
them.
it.
They're not.
That's-
They
yeah.
don't grow really thick or fast, and you got to plant a. If you're going to just plant one
Do
or
it
two,
in mass. Yeah,
I'd just
go.
do something. I would just do something else. But if you're thinking about planting 30, boy, howdy,
Oh,
they
yeah.
can be spectacular
They
in the
can.
fall season when those plumes come up for both days that they're up.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Up
true.
longer than that. As far as answering Austin's last questions, that's probably for the money the least favorable. They're more expensive, and you get less bang for the buck. And one of the other things that people hopefully are trending away from is the pampas grass. And while those look spectacular, they have problems with being reliably hardy here. They'll certainly get killed back to the ground a lot of years, and therefore you don't get that beautiful plume like you want to have out of them. So, and as Austin also mentioned, the only difference between buying a big grass, one's in a 3 or a 5 gallon container, and a small one is that it's just thicker starting out. So that would be the only reason why you would consider that, is if you're either matching in with existing things and you want it to be thick immediately.
Needed to match, yeah.
Because just like a lot of things, perennials, and all of your grasses are essentially a perennial type of plant that just happen to be a grass. They grow rather quickly. So
Do they grow? Do they propagate those in individual containers, or do they cut them like plugs on some of the grasses?
They'll
Yes.
typically,
Yes.
they're gonna cut them up. If you were gonna propagate a grass, you could take the whole
Division.
clump and make divisions out of it.
Okay, so-
yeah.
Although they can come from seed.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah, switchgrass. It's the best. I've got 3 varieties
it's so good.
at my house
Switchy.
right now.
So good.
Let's talk about heat.
Heat.
Our next question comes from Miriam. Good morning, Miriam.
Hello, Miriam.
Miriam.
Friend of
Hello,
the show.
Miriam.
Such a
Hello.
friend.
Such a good
Such
friend
a
of the show.
sweet woman.
She sent me a little video about someone playing tricks with a garden hose, and somebody kinked it. And of course, they make the mistake of looking down the hose. And then
That's funny.
that was an 1896 colorized old movie, but I believe it was a setup. It looked to me like
Hose pranks. I know Ben, who I've
nobody
already
falls for
mentioned,
the
does
old
that to
hose
me.
prank anymore.
He likes to jump on my hose while I'm watering houseplants. And then it makes me mad because he's all the way across the garden center and I can't get to him.
It's a fun game.
All right, but let's get to this question. A 115 heat index is predicted. Any advice for gardens lulled into a false sense of security?
I don't know that they're actually being lulled.
Are they lulled yet?
No.
I mean, there's nothing we can really do to change the weather. Okay, plants are gonna do what they do based on it. I mean, they've seen this before. Plants are stronger than us, very much so, and they're durable and can resilient. They can handle these things usually. Now, I've thought about this extensively over the past couple days. Whereas this past week, I thought to myself, why would I not set out my cool season veggies? Like, it's time. It's time to get them out. Like, the night temps have been nice. The day temps have been nice. But then, hear the weather this morning for next week, and we're seeing close to 100 degrees. I'm like, okay, Maybe not. Middle Tennessee is just
Wild.
day to day. You don't know. And if you've got your cool season veggies already set out, if you've got some that are going, you kind of, you're taking the chance there. Now, the only reason, it's not that the hot weather is going to kill your plants. That's not what's going on. What's going on is that young plants will want to, when they feel these hot temps, they'll want to send up a flower spike. This is what we call bolting. And when they do that, they stop producing leaves all that much. They just want to direct their energy towards
getting
flowers
seeds,
and seeds.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to avoid with our cool season veggies. So I think I'm going to wait probably a week to set out some of them cool season veg because it's next week's crazy.
Now, do plants actually feel the feels-like temperature, or are they air temperature creatures?
No. I mean, and if they do, what you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
The
in
index
the
is
wintertime, we can put a blanket over them, or in the early spring when the frost is coming, you can
Right.
cover them with protection. But, I mean, what are we going to do with the 115? We going to put a fan on them?
Yeah, the one thing I would encourage people to avoid doing is to don't get out there and overhead irrigate in the middle of the day. I mean, when it's 100 degrees, don't be putting that water, that comparatively cold water, right on the foliage.
Yeah.
It's a really an opportunity to shock things. Wait until it's cooled off at least some, in the evening hours or in the early morning. It's a whole lot better time to do it, particularly when we're at the extremes of heat. You may think you're helping them, but really they're going to take up the water a whole lot better, and that gives them the ability to be able to weather the conditions when they
weather.
become extreme.
Yeah. And,
Weather the weather.
good rule of thumb, don't ever water leaves. No leaves.
Don't.
Don't worry about them
People
leaves.
make that mistake with houseplants all the time.
Yeah. Unless you're growing air plants.
There are some
epiphytes,
yeah.
orchids. You need to water
There are
foliage,
What
but
kind of fights?
epiphytes.
Oh, wow.
They grow on trees.
Oh.
They're cool.
Orchids are probably the number one epiphyte you would think
Yeah,
of.
I've got a lot in my area. But speaking of a lot
A
of
lot.
plants that are around everywhere,
It's everywhere.
all over this nursery,
we
there's
had a
so
button
many
we could
things
push
I want
that
to
would give
talk
us-
about.
This room is
Room with Caroline.
There it is.
Are you happy?
I am so happy right now.
I was actually
so
trying
ready
to-
talk
I
about
was
She
trying
was
to
pitching.
mention-
She was pitching. Yeah.
I was pitching.
I was
I'm
trying
not
to
good at
mention
physically pitching,
shade
but-
cloth. If you have some plants that are sensitive to heat, you could put shade cloth over top to reduce some of that temperature. That's all.
But not directly onto the plants.
No, you need
have
to
some kind of-
suspend it over it.
Right.
But
So have-
what's in
Have
room?
two people stand on either side and just hold it all day.
I'm gonna need you to
Okay.
push that button again one more time.
Do it.
What's in Caroline?
Yes.
Yes, I wanted that explosion and I got it because you know why we needed that explosion. Y'all, our fall vegetables, fall annuals first round came in a couple days ago. So as Austin already mentioned about stuff bolting, it's a little bit early to plant fall vegetables, but we do have some right now. So on our table on this side of the room, we brought in some of our fall annuals that we just received in the greenhouse. So I've got some beautiful Gerber daisies over here. You can freshen up your mixed containers, freshen up your beds with something if some of your summer stuff is looking a little bit sad. In front, we've got some dianthus. These were just so cute. We had to bring them in. I think Austin was like, Caroline, look at the color on these. And I said, I know, right? Pink is your favorite color. We got to get those in. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. Up behind it, we've got some marigolds, which I absolutely love. I think y'all can probably now guess who doesn't by the noise that was just
I don't like a marigold.
in your ears. I love them. I have them planted. I hadn't planted them in a while, probably like 3 or 4 years, and I planted some this year as a filler in my sidewalk bed. And oh my gosh, y'all, absolutely gorgeous, super easy to maintain. I would say to me, better than petunias.
Yeah.
Them's fighting words, but I love it.
Fighting words. Better
Listen,
than
I
potato.
barely had to do
Picking fights with
anything.
Austin today.
Deadheading is really, really fun. The leaves look great. I've had no issues.
You know what's funny, real quick, about the marigold deadheading? It is fun.
It's so
they pop.
fun.
They
They
do.
pop.
They pop. It's like
and
a-
then you can open the seed pod too if you want to keep doing something with your hands. I
Yeah.
mean, I love them. I love how they smell. I love how they look. There are little pollinators buzzing around them all the time. Austin's shaking his head no, but I love it. And then to Austin's right. Austin, show that off. We got some ornamental peppers.
Peppers.
Hot stuff over here. Look
Hot
at
stuff.
those go.
Mr.
bud.
Bates would eat these because he loves hot stuff.
Oh, they look scary. I remember one day, I think you ate one of those
I did.
peppers my first season here, and I thought you were going to die.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
did too.
well, I'm going to see my first death at Bates
That was
Nursery.
awful.
Here we go.
That was
Yeah,
awful.
it was bad.
And there's all different sizes of the peppers that are available as well.
There are. We have quite a few. And again,
Yeah.
we've gotten our first, it's a tiny, tiny shipment. So
Yeah.
we don't have a whole lot. We'll be getting more and more in, and it's going to get bigger and bigger each time we do. But it's really exciting that we've got our first little shipment. There were some mums on it. I mean, there's a little bit of everything. Now, on the other side of the studio, we went with more of a chartreuse theme. So we've got a lot of green over there.
Yes.
So just behind Tyler and David, under the TV, we've got banana peel. Elysium. I planted some Florida Sunshine Elysium this year. I am loving it. Some people warned me against it. I said, I'm going to give it a try. So far, it's doing great. We'll see how it does this winter. I will keep y'all updated, but it's gorgeous. And then we've got Fire Glow Japanese Maple to kind of offset that green look. It's got a dark leaf. I mean, Japanese maple, you can't go
this
wrong
is
with
a
them.
classic shape. of
Especially
it.
Fire Glow. It's
It is
beautiful.
gorgeous. It's just framing David. Look at that. David, you look like you're sitting on a throne right now. Wow. Look at that. And then down in front, we've got some coleus. There's a few different varieties mixed in. I'm a big fan of growing coleus. I planted a lot this year, and I mean, they're like shrubs right now. I should take a picture and show it off next week. There's so many different colors. They're really easy. They're also easy to propagate. So Michelle down in our greenhouse, what she does, she loves it. She will take cuttings towards the fall before winter comes and kills it off, and then propagate it. She says she has windows full of coleus in her house. She's like, my husband
So
thinks
easy.
I'm insane. But then she doesn't have to buy it for the next year. So even though she still does, I still see carts full of coleus with her. Then we've got all gold Japanese forest grass. Once again, we love it so much that we brought it in for a second week in a row.
Hakanakoa.
Yes,
Fluffy.
because I didn't buy some last week, so you
That's
know.
a big boy, too.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and it's a grass that's really excellent in a shady
In a
condition.
shade
Yep.
spot. Yeah.
There are not many
Go
grasses-
forest
Oh
grass.
my gosh, pom-pom grass. Look at
Pom-pom.
Let's take a moment to just appreciate what Tyler just did. That was amazing. And then lastly, down in front, we've got Creeping Jenny. So if you want a ground cover that is going to take over, this is the one for you. You can step on it, you can pull it up. I mean, I've got it growing all over or all around my Northwind switchgrass, which at first I was a little bit mad about because I would say the mistake of planting it before I really knew years and years ago. But I like the look of it. It grows in between pathways and between stones. It's a nice look, but be aware that it will spread. And if you put it in a container thinking, oh, it's not going to get out, it will get
Right.
out. It will get out if you let it.
Does
Easy
it,
little
does it
piece.
mess with the switchgrass at all? Does
It
climb?
doesn't.
Okay.
It does. I wouldn't say it climbs, but it grows on top of itself. It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
It'll just keep growing and growing and growing, getting taller. And then if one, vining piece gets into the switchgrass, it'll
Okay.
keep growing through it. But it doesn't really grow up. It doesn't choke it out. And it's easy to control. It's really easy to pull back. So if you want a ground cover that's going to take over, come back year to year. Mine stays up slightly through the winter. I'd say about half of it dies back. That
It
might
gets a
be
little
good
like
choice.
almost orangey over the
Oh, yep.
winter, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It's like a weird kind of color. But
I'm a fan. I
It'll
thought
grow
I
on
made a
concrete.
mistake, and now I don't think I did. It will. It'll grow anywhere.
anywhere.
Anywhere. But that's what we have in room today.
All
So
right.
thank you guys for joining me on my journey.
Very cool.
Great stuff. Hey, one little footnote we might add, and Austin touched on a couple of aspects about the double-edged sword of planting cool season vegetables early, but also having 100-degree temperatures out ahead. So if you're part of the difficulty that we experience as a supplier and a seller of cool season vegetables, in particular for fall, is that we never seem to be able to get enough of it, particularly stuff like spinach. So if you see that and it's available,
Get it?
you don't have to plant it right now,
Nope.
but you ought to go ahead and get it and kind of set it aside, even if you have to, put it in the
Put it in the
house. I know
basement
it's kind of
under the
reverse.
lights. I got
Move it
it.
into the cool
Wow.
during the middle part of the day.
Yep.
That's a good thing to do because it may be that you're unable to find it later on. So just be mindful of that.
Guys,
Guys.
have you been wondering where our hydrangea questions are?
Uh-uh.
Because they're
Yes.
right here. All right. Blooms dying on hydrangeas and droopy leaves. What's happening?
Well, that The classic reason for that typically is an underwater scenario. Hydrangeas are very thirsty creatures, so if it's being underwatered, if it's a new plant, that may be what's going on. I've noticed too with panicle hydrangeas, if that's what we're talking about, or really any hydrangea, is that when they transplant in the summer, they really have stress, I guess I would say. I mean, it's hard to get the water just right, and they naturally kind of stress a little bit, and they'll even drop some interior yellowing leaves. That'll happen in the dead of the summer. Usually not a plant killer or anything, but it's a little bit stressful on them. Now, I will say, too, sometimes people can break just a tiny break in a stem down below whenever you're planting it. It can change the look of that plant. So make sure you're not like physically breaking any of the stems.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose. It just, I mean, it can just happen sometimes when you plant them. And if it's like if like most of your plant looks good and you've got like one limb that's like droopy or looking off, it literally could have just been physically broken, whether that be in transit from the nursery to your home or while you were planting it. That can happen, and that just needs to be removed if that did occur. So that's the best I got.
Yeah, and one of the things that to be mindful of with respect to hydrangeas as a family is that they all share this common trait of not being able to bring moisture up as fast as they are able to transpire it. That is, their turgor pressure, Terger, that's the pressure that's inside the stems and the leaves.
Ooh.
When that water comes up from the root system through the stems and into the leaves, there's a pressure that keeps the foliage up. And there's little Dave. And
Little Dave.
Where'd David go? He's off his throne. Oh, he's back.
He's just
So anyway, it's the magic that only the green room has. Anyway,
He lost his turgor pressure.
That's what happens, David.
that's an example of how that happens. So whenever they can actually have plenty adequate moisture in the soil, and they simply droop because it's hot. They're transpiring
So they're sweating.
the moisture off faster than they can bring it up. They're not sweating, Josh.
Yeah, they are.
Transpiration is where it goes straight from a liquid to a gas. It skips. It just, you don't ever see it. It's just vapor that's going out into the air. So because of that, you can just water them
Sounds
right
like
away.
sweat.
They won't, until the day cools down a little bit, they won't stand back up. So it could be that also.
Hey, quickly, we've got a question on the YouTube channel. And thank you
Yep.
for watching, Nina. When to stop using liquid fertilizer around roses?
We're getting to the point where you need to slow that down. Like, this is probably about the last application you want to do, because what we don't want to do is force a lot of tender growth on a rose late in the season. We're getting into the season where roses are going to have a very good bloom flush. Okay, like they really like the cool night temps. Like after next week, next week we're talking hundreds. Probably not going to throw much, in that. But after that, if we start getting into that night temps down into the high 50s, 60s, day temps only in the 80s, roses really, really respond to that. So we don't want to put much energy into producing more leaves at the moment. Like I said, right now would be about the last time we want to do that. Get one more flush of leaves, and then we'll hope for a really, really nice bloom period in the fall, which is really in Middle Tennessee. The early spring and the fall is really when we get the best blooms on our roses.
You think it's the blue liquid that she's using?
that old blue water, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now the saving grace of using a liquid type fertilizer is that it releases quickly and doesn't last very long.
No.
So even if you did, it's going to flash out there pretty fast and then it's going to be gone. So as long as you're using it, probably in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be okay. But you definitely don't want to be putting fertilizer on there that's going to be releasing way out into October.
Right.
Because that's where you can run into problems with flushing new growth. And then, as we have seen in years past, we can have these early
Frost
freezes. Not just frost, but sometimes we bypass frost altogether.
Yep.
And the first cold weather we have is indeed a hard freeze. So those kind of conditions really do damage to plants.
And you may ask, like, why? Like, who cares if I have tender new growth or I have old growth? Like, the frost is coming, the freeze is coming, winter's coming. Like, it's going to whack back my foliage anyway. What do I care if it's new and tender? Well, the reason you care about that is because new and tender leaves is also new and tender stems. And that freeze that will occur will damage the topmost part of that plant more significantly than what you want. So that's the whole reason for that. You want some hardy, good green canes on your roses. We don't want tender stuff whenever freeze happens.
Because it's not unusual to have roses in Middle Tennessee at Christmas time. Not at all.
Knockout roses, you're right. I mean, some of the old school roses, are hybrid teas to floribundas. Typically, you're not going to see that around Christmas time, but you're not wrong. Knockout roses can certainly do that. Sometimes in like pockets of East Nashville where it's this little microclimate, knockout roses don't even lose their leaves. It's amazing. Right. Hey, by the way, we had a couple customers come out yesterday that watch the show every Saturday. I hope y'all are watching this morning. You came out to buy knockout roses yesterday. You got one. You talked to me. You got to speak with Caroline in the greenhouse.
You brought up Austin's boxwood. So
you did bring up my boxwood. So thanks. No thanks.
No, thank you for that.
Yes,
I enjoyed it.
No, but thanks for watching. We appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all shopping
Absolutely.
with us. Thank you.
You know what we really appreciate when folks. We appreciate you watching. Obviously, we also appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and life to come out and see us at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And if you've been out recently, you notice that there's this mess out front. We're really working hard at completely redoing our parking. So while it's unsightly at the moment, it's going to really be nice. It's just there's quite a lot of work we've got to do yet. We've probably got at least another month to endure through that. So we appreciate your patience, but do come out and see us. We've got a tremendous selection of everything you could think of for your gardens, no matter whether it's trees, shrubs, ground covers. We have an abundance of all those things. Tropical plants, Caroline's world, but what we really have a lot of is expertise, and because of that, we like to think of ourselves as not just talking heads. We're not just people up there just telling you things. This is what we do for a living. We don't do anything else. Now, Josh might be the exception to that.
Where else are you going to talk from except your head?
I mean, Talking Heads is a reference to people.
It's a great band from the 80s. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, my little newsletter this week deals with that subject a little bit, and also about how we can help you get the right plant in the right place the first time, and also the conclusion of the Best of Nashville voting is coming around. So we really appreciate you have our vote. We've got 3 categories that we're appreciative of that. So if you look down the last paragraph there, it gives you that information. So appreciate you
best blog
giving us
and best
consideration
Instagram,
on that. Because we really try to do our best. Also, all the details about this week's offerings. We're going to, on all landscape plants, 20% off plus bags of Earth Mix landscape. So it's a great opportunity to come out, save big, get some great help from folks like Austin and Caroline and Ben and Adam and Shannon and all the great folks we have around here. Come out and
Tyler might
see
help
them.
too.
Mm-hmm. Bring pictures with you, pick their brains, and do everything you can to get the information you need to make your garden look its very best. Now, if you want to get on the weekly newsletter, it's really easy. Just scroll down the page here, and there's the newsletter section, your name, email address, and you got to check that box that says, yes, I agree to receive the newsletter that I just signed up for.
Click.
I don't know why you have to do that, but that's part of what compliance is. All of our information, Tyler and the cast here in studio and elsewhere, we've got a couple of hundred videos nearly out there in our Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp. Check all that out. Our most recent selections on our blog are right at the bottom of the page. So check it out at batesnursery.com. And, we really want to say thank you for entrusting us since 1932 to bring you the very best plants and expertise available in the Middle Tennessee area. So thank you for supporting us here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Honest goodness, folks, you got to come out here often to see all the neat stuff that's out there. I get amazed every Saturday morning when I drive in to do the at-home show.
Well, we're not a part-time nursery. We do it all year long.
This week, Chinese fringe flower. Oh my gosh, I had to go to the restroom and I was walking back across the lot and it caught my eye from 80 feet away. It's gorgeous.
You're talking about Laura Petalum?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty right now. Our inventory is packed right now.
Palm trees out by the apple trees. I mean,
Banana
gorgeous.
trees.
Those are bananas. They look like plum. They're bananas.
Yeah. They
Y'all
have a
come
plum
buy some
look.
bananas. We've got too many bananas. Okay, y'all need to get them planted because they're a great herbaceous plant. It grows 12, 15 feet in a season. Truly amazing. They spread. If you got a pool, you need some bananas. We have too many. We need to get rid of some. So y'all come on out. We got them 20% off. We got everything plant related 20% off, minus Caroline's.
Fancy plants.
Yeah, the
Tropicals. The tropicals.
And Japanese maples.
and Japanese maples are excluded. But other than that, every plant you come out here is 20% off.
Wow.
Y'all, come on. If
You better run.
If you're still waiting on replacing some of those shrubs that died during the freeze and you just didn't
Get
want to do
on
it this
with it,
spring,
yeah.
it's time now. 20% off.
Yep.
Come on.
Austin Collins said he's coming out for that money switchgrass.
Colin, you better come see me. I need to see you.
And he said David's Talking Heads reference was fantastic in the newsletter. Subscribe.
Nice.
Do
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, Colin.
Take me to
All right.
the red.
Second hydrangea question.
Which is one of the categories we want you to vote on.
Yes, it is. 3 categories.
That's
What
right.
are good hydrangeas for a front patio not too large?
Okay, there's definitely some not too large hydrangeas out there, but I need to know your sun. A front patio typically doesn't have like a blasting sun environment, so I'm going to go with that. We're going to say it's a part shade or even shade. So let's go with a Macrophylla hydrangea. This is one that we all kind of think of probably first as those round blue blooms or pink blooms typically, or purple, somewhere in between. This is depending on your pH. But these are common to grow in a container, and they're actually good to grow in a container, especially if they've got some of that shade. So giving them some protection over the wintertime is going to be crucial. You know, all hydrangeas are going to lose their leaves over the winter, and hydrangeas don't look great over the winter. Ain't going to sugarcoat it. They look like dead sticks.
Put some
okay?
boxwoods in front.
Or just use it as an annual. I mean, you can buy, you can buy a plant for $30, throw it in a pot for the season, and just expect it for the season. You know, if you buy it in the spring.
You are wild.
What?
And then
What? You would buy annuals? It would end up being $30 if you did like a mixed container. Why not doing a single
That's-
hydrangea?
okay. All right.
You know?
You silenced me. I don't know what to say.
I like macrophyllas in pots. I think they're cute.
They are cute in pots. Yes,
Uh-huh.
I have some in the ground, not in pots. Mine in the ground did not bloom this year.
See, that's the thing. That's the problem. That's the problem with hydrangea. They're unreliable here in Middle Tennessee. This past year we had a late frost. No hydrangeas bloomed. It's been the worst, one of the worst macrophylla hydrangeas.
I was about to say. I
But,
think
but the year
We've had it
before
before,
was
yes.
incredible.
Last year was great. You're right. So what you can do, what I was saying, is just buy it in the spring when it already has its leaves flushed out, past the problem of frost, and then you've got your blooms for the summer. Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay?
Lovely.
Cut them, bring them in the house. Oh,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the amount of blooms you'll get off of it that you can cut and bring in the house will actually be cheaper than buying them
that's what I'm saying.
from a florist.
That's what I'm saying.
So, guys, our next question, I was excited when it came in because not a lot of people know about this plant. This person has had a Euphorbia drupifera for 3 years. They're asking how to repot. So if you're like, what is that? So there's a lot of different types of Euphorbia out there. I mean, poinsettias are, but in my world, it's primarily what looks like a cactus. So they're not a true cactus, but you treat them like a cactus, they look like one. This one is a really cool, almost tree-form cactus. You kind of have to see it to know what I'm talking about. But in order to repot it, as I do with most cacti, most succulents, you're going to want to have a good draining, well-draining soil mix. So you can buy a cactus soil mix, but I usually make my own. I find that cactus mix a lot of the time is heavy with peat moss, which I don't love. So what I like to do is use our Earth Mix Proganics I, the indoor soil mix, and I will add for cactus and succulents, I'll add a little bit of perlite, pine fines, and sometimes with some things I will add a little bit of sand. They like it, but you don't do too much because it can compact the soil and get a little too heavy. So make a well-draining soil mix, and then with this plant in particular, and with a lot of cacti, if you're going to repot some more columnar cactus, you're going to want to wrap the base of this plant with styrofoam. I use pool noodles that I will cut a big slit down the side, get the ones with the holes in them that your kids like to spray water out of or yell at you or as they whack you in the face with them. So you can wrap it around that to pull it up, because you're going to hurt your hands. Lay it on its side, get that plant out, go ahead and have a pot that's a little bit bigger, put your soil in the bottom, put it in there, take the styrofoam, take the pool noodle off, and you will be ready to go. But if you aren't familiar with that plant, look it up. We've got 2 at the nursery right now. We actually don't usually get them in stock. They're pretty big. One is taller than me, but they are absolutely gorgeous. Euphorbia type cactus are my absolute favorite. So,
Very cool.
like
I've
I
got
said,
a cool one. I've got a really cool euphorbia at the house right now.
Hey,
you have.
Fantastic.
Greg in Corinth, Mississippi wants
Hey,
to
Greg.
know, can creeping phlox be easily contained to an area? If so, how?
Yes, actually, it's not that creeping phlox is not all that hard to control. It's a slow creeper, so it can live for years. I mean, 25, 30 years. I mean, they can be old, a long-lived perennial. Excellent plant, if you ask me. I mean, I'm old school when it comes. I just want stuff to live without me having to do much, and that is certainly creeping phlox. If it does get out of bounds with you, literally just cut it. I mean, just tidy it. You can tighten it. You can even, as the years go on, and if it gets too big, and you really just want to chop it, literally chop it at the top of the crown of the plant and let new stuff form, and it'll slowly form.
Start over?
And start over. Give it a restart. I mean, tons of plants are great with that.
Or if it gets outside of the edge of the bed area, you can just cut straight down and cut a chunk out of it.
Yeah.
And retransplant that to some other location if you like. So it's very, very manageable, because it is a slow grower, but when it gets established, it's spectacular in the spring.
I agree. It blooms for a long time. I love it.
speaking of blooms,
Blooms.
Oh, gosh.
What's in bloom with Austin?
Okay, here we go. Same old stuff, pretty much. When it comes to trees, mimosa, crepe myrtle, rose of Sharon, all of those.
Rays of Sharon.
Rays of Sharon are growing. Regular hibiscus, perennial hibiscus, big dinner plate blooms, blooming, looking great, still good. You know what's a new one, actually, I'll give you, is Sweet Autumn Clematis. Okay? We don't really sell that one too much anymore. We'll special order it for you if you want it. It's a little bit invasive, not going to lie. It can kind of spread from seed a little bit, but it's still a beautiful vine. If you've got it, you've had it forever probably, and it's the white blooming vines that are on people's either mailbox or like their porch, whatever, going crazy right now. Shasta daisy still blooming, just about done though. Verbena bonariensis, what a great little plant. You ought to grow that one. It gets very tall. I put mine in the shade, and it is like stupid tall. It's like 5 feet tall, no joke. Anyway, just a little tangent I wanted to get on. Soybeans are money this year. Fantastic. We've just great weather with a lot of rainfall, and soybeans are beefy. Y'all, look at them soybean fields. They're beefy, okay? I love them.
I drove past one this morning. Or probably like
And
12
you saw-
this morning.
you
and I
saw
did
the
see.
beef.
I saw the beef. That's correct. I looked
There
out
you
my
go.
window and said, "Wow, look at that!
Man, look at them beefy.
Man, but I got to get to work."
And next, petunias are beautiful this year. We've had a cooler summer here in August with plenty of rainfall. No, marigolds are nowhere near petunias. Don't even point at that. Quit. Petunias are great. I love mine. Oh, which one did I go? Misty Lilac.
Oh.
What a name.
Yeah.
Best petunia on the market. Do it. Okay. No, marigolds aren't even there.
are in
Panicle
bloom right now.
hydrangeas
They look
still
great.
going crazy. Panicle hydrangeas are flopping like crazy this year. They've had so much rainfall. Them panicles are just flopped.
You know what's
I'm
not
sorry.
flopping on mine?
The ones you cut back that I told you to?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. And then at the end, I'm so excited about this, guys. My Incredible hydrangeas, okay? They're all done. Their blooms are spent pretty much. They're starting to go brownish. They don't look all that great, whatever. Well, my daughters decided to pluck a bloom, okay? Whenever it was full show. This was, I don't know, about a month ago. They broke one off and brought it into the house to have as a cut flower. I was cool with it, and I was like, whatever. They broke it off. Well, what happened? 2 new stems formed, and then it produced a bloom. Y'all, Incredible hydrangeas and Annabelle hydrangea types will rebloom if you deadhead them quick. I'm like, stoked about this.
You're going to do that next year.
I'm
aren't
doing
you?
it next year. I'm doing a video. Tyler, you're coming over. We're shooting a video of me pruning back my incredible hydrangeas, and we're going to see
to pull the plant.
We're going to see a second flush, huh?
You got to get the kids in there to pull the blossom off.
You know what? I'll get them in there.
That.
I'll get them in. You little Marley, my little 5-year-old, she loves cut stuff. I'll let her cut them off. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh,
but either way.
We've got an emergency. That's all that's in bloom because we've got an emergency and we're running out of time.
That's all that's in
cut them
bloom.
off.
Let's get to the emergency.
Uh-oh.
Samara says, crap, I just planted a climbing hydrangea. Should I take it out?
Uh-oh.
If you ask me, yeah.
Oh, that's just because you have some feelings
I don't
about
like
that
climbing
plant.
hydrangeas.
I think they're gorgeous.
If you love it, leave it. If you don't love it, pull it up. It'll climb 50,
Hey, I do
50
need to
foot up
make
a
an
tree.
announcement here
Oh.
before we get off this week. Is that I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks here. So, the general manager himself, Adam Chapman, will be
Adam Chapman,
sitting
Chappie.
in most capably, and he'll be bringing in his own certain style to the program. So we're looking forward to having Adam on for the next couple of weeks
Love him.
and seeing what all the information he brings forth. He's a wealth of knowledge as well.
Absolutely,
Can't
he is.
wait.
Absolutely he is. Well, folks, we're winding down. We're starting to hear the cue music there for you going up.
Well, we had a lot of emergencies.
Well, that was an emergency. I mean,
How many emergencies can you have in the end of one show?
well, it always happens within the last 10 minutes of the program. It's been that way since 1998, David. You know that.
Yeah, but pretty much.
All righty, folks. Hey, next Saturday morning, I'm coming back, and we'll be in here with Adam and the whole crew and all the at-homies. David, have a good vacay, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Be safe. Buy Mrs. Bates something really, really nice.
Well,
Yeah?
the
She
vacay
deserves
itself should be part of that, but yes, we'll see.
Okay. We'll ask her what you bought when you
Yeah,
get back.
I know you will.
All righty, folks. Hey,
Yeah, you
come
will.
out to Bates Nursery and Garden Center. It's 3810 Whites Creek Pike. It's 0.9 miles north of Briley Parkway. You got to see the selection. You got to come out today because not open tomorrow. So be back out Monday.
20% off plants.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
My God.
We'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studios for the At Home Show.